I know this video took a while, but IRL is a lot, and I was trying to formulate my thoughts on this particular album. Speaking of which, today's album is going to be The Blackening by Machine Head. Probably one of my favorite albums now, even though it came out in 2007, but I will explain why that's the case. So Machine Head, for those of you unfamiliar, I mean, if you're a metalhead like me, it's kind of hard to not know who they are. But they're a thrash slash groove metal band from the 90s, and they're a divisive band, to say the least. Mainly because some of their albums are hit or miss, but this is definitely one of those albums that is a hit and still is, 17 years later. Now, track 1, Clenching the Fists of Dissent, is a great intro track, because it establishes the tone and feel for the rest of the album, and how heavy this thing really is. Now, I do think 10 minutes is maybe a bit too long for this track, because there's not really much of a reason it needs to be. I do think the beginning of the song could have been cut down just a bit and really could work better as a 8-minute song. But that's just a nitpick of mine, because the actual song itself is great. The riffs and guitar tone work incredibly, and the transitions and tempo changes are spread out evenly and don't feel forced, which is very important on a song this long, and it keeps the song from getting boring, which is great to see. Track 2, Beautiful Morning, keeps the momentum going, and while a much shorter song, it still brings a lot of the same heaviness and thrash elements as track 1. And the bridge is amazing. And while it's not my favorite track on the album, it is still worth giving a listen, especially if you're doing a full playthrough of the record. Track 3, Aesthetics of Hate, is even more of a fast-paced track, but it works to its benefit, because there is some great interesting riffs, and the bridge at the 4-minute mark is fantastic. Not only because of the slow groove, but also Rob Flynn's combination of clean and heavy vocals, which sound awesome. So definitely another great song. Track 4, Now I Lay Thee Down, is a bit of a slower and groovier song, but they utilize that pace in a good way, because the heaviness is still there in the sound, and it makes it feel more atmospheric, and I do love me some slow atmospheric songs, especially when they're as heavy as this track, so overall, another worthy song for the album. Track 5, Slanderous, is, in my opinion, probably the weakest song on the album. Now, that's not to say it's bad, because it by no means is. However, it just doesn't really do a whole lot for me, and some of the lyrics have not aged well, but it is still a good enough song, but does seem a bit like filler, unfortunately. Track 6, Halo. Now, this is the track that people remember the most off this record, and for good reason, because it is a single, but also just the main riff alone is enough to carry the song, and Rob's voice sounds incredible on this song as well. The guitar tone is also great, and even the bass stands out a lot in this track. The drums are also amazingly played and mixed, not only in this song, but also throughout the album. And this has to be one of my favorite tracks off the album. Track 7, Wolves, is another thrash song that sounds incredible because the riffs are unique thanks to the key changes throughout the song, which surprisingly work really well. And the chorus is probably my favorite chorus on the record, and Rob's vocal performance also stands out here, so definitely a great song. Track 8, A Farewell to Arms, feels like a spiritual successor to track 1, which, yes, sounds weird, but when you actually listen to the song, it starts to make sense, especially when you consider that the album should end how it began, and it feels like that's exactly what they did here, and I love that. Though I do feel like the 10-minute runtime is utilized a lot better in this song. Overall, a pretty good song and solid way to end the album. Now there is two bonus songs depending on which edition you have. However, the easiest way to find these songs is on streaming platforms like Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Music, and they're basically just cover songs. One is a cover of Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden, and two is a cover of Battery by Metallica. Now, all I'll say about these songs is they are pretty good covers, though I don't think they're necessary to the overall experience of this album, and I can sort of see why on the original release they were left off, but if you want to hear those songs, be my guest. So, with all of that being said, my overall rating for this album is going to be a 9.5 out of 10. I really love this album, and it's such a damn shame I didn't listen to it a lot sooner, because it really is a great time, and I can definitely see why everyone says this is still one of the best metal albums of all time, because they are absolutely right. But that is going to do it for today, and whatever your thoughts are, make sure you put them down in the comments, and as always, I will see you all next time.